going to be 3 miles one way, 3 miles the other. So there's going to be plenty of competition. Now, this group assembled today is one of the largest national groups assembled in classes, and certainly this is the largest race St. Clair has ever hosted.
Today in the outlaw class, see the wildest racing from A, B, and E classes. Pay close attention to E class for the debut of Reginald Fountain III.
Today, you'll see the best from the Warlock Factory 1 class, taking on points leaders and race favorites, Team Warlock, featuring Throttleman Lance Wildman Hendrickson and Jimmy Earnhardt Harvis.
Plus, their twin-engine big brothers, the Warlock Factory 2 class, where Treadwell Motorsports and Team Virgin are hot on the heels of defending world champs, Team Voyager.
And how about the King Daddies of V-bottoms, the Ultra Extreme 2200 horsepower supercharged Super Vs. The battle is on as David Wood's Pier 57 team tries to stay ahead of the Matco Voyager and the Citgo Superguard Scarab.
But we've got the Cats, too, starting with the Warlock Factory 3 and 4 classes. In F3, Richard Granville and Carter Reed continue the defense of their 1999 world title. And if you like high-performance outboards, we got the Warlock F4s, twin-engine Cats battle, triple-engine Cats, in a fair fight.
But when you talk about cats, you have to talk about the biggest and baddest of them all, the Super Cats. All year long, Jerry Gilbreath and Hugh Fuller have wreaked havoc on the field, almost literally in Sarasota, where they were assessed a 3-minute penalty for rough driving after going off course and taking part of the field with them. They are the intimidators of Super Cat. But after the penalty, Don Q. Cristal with Felix Morales and Pat Patel aboard take the points lead into St. Clair. 8 other teams join the attack. Get ready for a war today.
Well, the fans are headed out onto the course. The F1s have already gone out there. Pace boat is ready to go, and we'll get off with a start when we come back. The APBA is sponsored by SpeedMonster.com, the presenting sponsor of the APBA Offshore Pro Series 2000.
Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do.
It's still dangerous.
Welcome back to St. Clair, Michigan. Dick Crippen along with Rich Lords and Reggie Fountain as we look at this beautiful course in a beautiful setting. This is the first river course that we've run so far this year, and it is a working river, as you shall see. It's a simple course. 3 miles down, make a big turn. 3 miles back up, make another big turn, and you're on the front straightaway once again. It's not hard, and it should be very fast. They're going to have to watch the currents, though. As we say, first time on the river, it's an education, and they should get it today in some very fast boats.
The F1s will be the first to race this course today, as in all APBA classes, even competition is the key. Single-engine V-bottoms, factory box stock with 500 HP Mercruiser power. This class is extraordinarily tight. These tricky boats in these river currents are going to be a handful for both drivers and throttle men alike. They're all pointed for the lead. They're all looking for a victory, and they're all so closely matched. It's going to be wonderful racing today. But the bottom line is there's one team that they've got to track down and beat, and that team, well, F191.
And, Rich, that F191 team is threatening to run away with the title. Throttleman Lance Hendrickson always makes a lot of noise when he floats in with the checkers, and sometimes he's so far ahead no other boat even hears him. Here's the lowdown on the crazy leaders in the Warlock fleet.
Crazy's when you go into a 10-foot swell and you never lift out of the throttle, and the driver's working his brains out just to keep the boat in the water and right side up, and he never lifts. I guess, you know, don't lift. Don't lift. He's definitely a wild man.
Keep the speed up. Understood? Yeah.
Lance also knows how far he can go before the boat's going to throw him out.
Now, which way are we going? You got it. I got it. I got it covered. Which way are we going? Trust me.
Then you turn around and Arvis is just as enthusiastic. And I got to imagine I wouldn't want to be in their intercom when they're running together because they got to be screaming at each other the whole time.
I'm going the wrong way. There you go. Correct. Correct.
I guess I've been told I'm a little excited, and Jim's got to keep me calm. But we have a good time in the boat, and there's nothing like it. This is basically one of the slowest boats in the class. But by Lance and I being in the boat together, he's worth a mile an hour, and I'm worth an extra mile an hour. So if there's an 82-mile-an-hour boat beside us, and we're an 80-mile-an-hour boat, we will usually win going into the pins.
Now, the man who's put all 6 Warlock teams together is the same guy who made millions packaging what's known as voice-over DSL for Lucid. Richard Granville bought Warlock after he found out he couldn't break a Warlock boat. The company came into the APBA with an amazing presence.
I got really into it this year when Carter and I sat down and decided, you know, marketing and the APBA is where boat sales are really coming from, and deriving boat sales is by how good your boats are doing.
So Card and I said, well, hell with it. You know, we're going to dump a bunch of money in this year, buy a bunch of rigs, buy a bunch of motor coaches. Let's put on a show for this year. Our sales were up 150% this year. You know, we're a $4 or $5 million company with the year before I bought it. This year we'll do 12 to 13 million, which is, you know, way more than a double.
I call my mama. The young millionaire has won a few races in various classes and hopes to do the same next year in a top secret Super Cat.
There's a lot of speculations and a lot of rumors around. 9 times out of 10, if it's about me, it's probably true, especially if it's bad. So chances if I have a Super Cat, yeah, I'm coming.
But for the moment, his attention turns from the Super Cats to the F1s. They are on the course. You can see the pace boat with the yellow flag flying. They are waiting, knowing they're moments away from the green, and here it comes.
We have a green flag, green flag.
We have a green flag, and as you can see, the Team Warlock closest to you is moving out, but they've got a leader that they've got to contend with in the Team Fountain, which has taken the early lead. Right behind them, look at Alehouse and Team Progression. Raising Cane is out there, too.
And it's going to be Team Fountain as they lead down the front stretch. Team Warlock has moved into second place. The field right behind them is heading into the turn, and they are all bunched up.
Team Warlock says as a driver and throttleman, they're worth an extra 2 miles an hour. They're going to need it here.
Yeah, they are running in second place, and they're not used to that. The race right now, as you can see, is for second. Look at the team of Twisted Chicks. That's 2 girls from Northern Ohio.
They're moving up in that pack, and it is a pack right behind the Team Warlock, who's riding in second place right now. There is the yellow and red and pink and every other color you can imagine boat of the Twisted Chicks, and they're moving up in the field.
Everybody's trying to catch this boat right here. That's Mitch Miller and Benny Robertson, tunnel boat racer, well out in front in the fountain.
They are really negotiating this course very carefully. They're holding on to their lead, and I'm sure watching over their shoulders. Look at this battle going on.
You know, these boats hang out very nicely in the river. The current is quite strong. In the straightaways, it's not a factor, but in the turns, it's tending to wash out the rear ends of these step-bottom V-bottoms.
Alehouse has passed Progression and now are challenging Raising Cane for third.
And that's Alehouse on the outside, the little white boat, as it bounces in. It looks like he's got the speed. Alehouse trying to get third place away from Raising Cane, and he is making the pass. A great job of driving there.
Man, that was willpower against willpower. All through the Factory 1 class, tight competition. And the racing continues all through the fleet. Here you see 2 Cruel closest to you against Team Progression. Going into the north turn, Progression's got a much better line and is taking the inside lane. That is going to mean extra boat lengths. And in this particular course, in this particular class, that means everything in this race.
And it looks like Team Progression is closing in on Raising Cane in fourth and Alehouse riding up in third place. But they still have to be concerned with the boat behind them. 2 Cruel is not letting them get away. This is the boat that maintains the lead. This is the Fountain boat, followed by the Team Warlock, trying to make up ground in second place. They are really fighting hard.
And in third place, F113, Team Alehouse, probably their best performance of the year.
But wait a minute, Rich, they're slowing down. Something's happened aboard that boat. They're both looking a little bit bewildered, a little bit frustrated.
We have a race boat dead in the water, northbound. I believe it's the Alehouse Factory 1 boat.
Man, oh man, they ran out of gas, and on the last lap, that left the Rusty Wallace-back Fountain to take the lead and hold off the favorite, Team Warlock.
What a battle it was up front, but it was also a good battle throughout the pack. As you can see, Fountain first, Team Warlock second, Raising Cane third. Look at Alehouse all the way down to 11th spot because they ran out of gas.
Took a lot of time and a lot of hard work through the Fountain guys. Rusty Wallace is backing. Mitch Miller's throttling. It just takes a lot of teamwork to make this thing go. The other guys in the other boats, the Warlock guys, they were doing a fantastic job, which made us go back to work. And that's what we did. I got to thank Hydromotive Propellers. I got to thank Reggie Fountain with this facilities for helping us work on the boat. All the guys at Fountain, they're just a phenomenal bunch of teamwork.
Here's the way it looks. 555 points for the Team Warlock. Fountain is closing in at 488. These are the season points, 5 out of 9 races. Coming up, we're going to switch gears to the Factory 2, and it's wild racing.
T-minus 15 seconds. Ignition sequence start.
biggest single choice that a crew makes is the propeller for any given race course. It's a combination of tires and gear ratios in car racing. Now, there are 4 and 5 blade options, but there are other variables as well.
If you got a short course, you need a lot of acceleration, you're going to run a smaller prop, even though you're going to be on rev limiter. If it's rough water, you need all that acceleration and throttle response, so you're going to use small propeller. If it's a flat water race, which we predict is going to be here, you're going to run a bigger prop, run it more trimmed out, and be on it more.
The 5-bladers give you a little more acceleration, better control in the rough. The 4-bladers are the faster ones that we find in our setup.
Now, one other area of interest this year is blade thickness. Last year, you could machine your blades down to almost nothing. They wouldn't last very long, but they went a lot faster. The APBA has stopped that. There are minimum thicknesses this year. That assures lower cost racing.
The Factory 2 boats are boats like we build for the general public with 2 engines. They are fast boats. They run up near 90 miles an hour. There's going to be a hot race today. There are 22 of them here, the largest fleet ever assembled of Factory 2 boats.
Now, one of the boats you want to keep an eye on is this one, the Team Virgin, the F294, Todd Clinworth and Trace Martin. Down in Sarasota, Florida, they were very much in the hunt for points as they remained, but they had a problem. They lost the back end in a turn. It threw Trace Martin out into the water.
We really weren't turning when we spun. We'd already straightened out and accelerating on the next straight section. And we think the back end aerated a little bit coming across the wake of the boat in front of us, and a little momentum carried the bow through and dug in.
Before that incident, we were first in points, and I think that our boat is fast enough to stay in the top, at least the top 3, if not top 5.
Another team to watch is the Treadwell Motorsports, the F298, with Eric Treadwell on the wheel and Jack Storley on the throttle. This team is also chasing Team Voyager for the points lead.
We have a great boat, does everything I ask it to do.
We're running consistent. Consistency is the key. You can go out and carry your equipment up as easily as you can finish in first place some days, and hanging it out some days is just not the smart thing to do.
Team Voyager is a points leader, the defending world champs. They haven't won a race in 2 years, but their consistency has them up in first place again this year.
A very full fleet of every kind of manufacturer's boats, formulas, cigarettes, Phantoms, Velocities, and of course the ubiquitous Fountains.
This is going to be a start to behold. 22 boats coming down the St. Clair River. Look at that sight as the green flag flies off of the pace boat, and we have your leaders charging to the front.
One of the greatest fleets in offshore history, and look at how tightly packed they are. Out front again, it's Mitch Miller and Benny Robertson again in the Team Fountain. That is the flagship of the Fountain fleet, and the Fountain factory has been doing a lot of homework under the guidance of Jerry Gilbridge.
Well, there's no question as they head down to the first turn that everybody's going to try to go to the same place. While the Lake Cumberland has now taken the lead in that Fountain boat, we have the Utz Pier 57 battling to catch them. They are now riding in second place, but look at the pack behind them. Again, we have total pack racing.
Well, the Virgin Cigarette and the Treadwell Motorsports, as we expected, they are battling it out for third place right now. And on the inside, of course, is the Treadwell. Nice line there in that big formula. That forced the Team Virgin into the fourth place position. And look out. Very, very close there as we come around that final pin. Whoa, we're getting too tight in there.
It gets really tight. You've got to watch yourself, and you've got to watch all the boats around you, and that's what we mean by pack racing. More than deck to deck. It's sometimes bow to stern. Look at this.
Chop. Watch him. Well, an exciting turn. That was fun.
Man, that was a classic chop. When Reggie used to do that to me in a tunnel boat, I was a bit upset.
Now, Rich, you know I wouldn't have done that to you.
And that's why lawyers shouldn't race boats.
Boy, it's on and off the course in this particular competition. There's Team Tsunami. As you can see, they've made the pass on Team Virgin. Tsunami now in fourth. Lake Cumberland Marine Fountain boat still holding on to the lead out there. Benny Robertson, Mitch Miller have it going great. Further back, Team Voyager battling Moral Hazard for sixth into the turns and moving up on Team Virgin.
Team Voyager is playing that big cigarette Team Virgin very, very carefully after that last turn. There's a reason why Team Voyager in the Fountain. Well, that's why they're leading the national points chase. They're not taking any chances. They're watching that boat carefully. It almost bit them in the last lap. They've got to be careful. They want to rack up those national points. No DNFs for them.
They want consistency, and they've got it, but they've also got a good challenge. Now, here's the Phantom Boat Twisted Sticks, and they are running in 7th, but look right behind them. They have got a mad pack coming up.
The field's real packed up here because in the F2 classes, you've got some real even competition. It makes for boats racing side by side, bow to stern, and so forth.
Now, the tight racing here between the Flying Phantom, the Pipe Dream, as opposed to that Fast Tech Formula, the Fast Tech Racing. Fast Tech Formula on the outside making a big move right now for 8th place.
And the F298 Treadwell Motorsports Formula boat is in 3rd, heading into turns 3 and 4. There may be a problem with the Utz Pier 57 in 2nd place. The question is, will it hold them out? That we don't know just yet. They're checking it out to see if they can make it happen. Meanwhile, Treadwell Motorsports is trying to close it in. The Tsunami, a Sutphin Hull, holding on to 3rd place and battling hard.
That is by far the best that Canadian boat has run so far this year. Team Virgin now relegated to 4th place after their accident last race. That's pretty good.
It certainly is, and out front it is Lake Cumberland, but apparently they have developed a problem. They appear to be slowing down on the last turn. Another boat with a problem, the Utz Pier 57 Fountain boat, is holding in. Lake Cumberland gets back up on there. Here's the finish, and Lake Cumberland is going to be holding on just by seconds to take it over the Treadwell Motorsports team.
The Fountain with a win over the Formula, but just by inches. And the manufacturer's in the final results, you see a Fountain over a Formula, over a Sutphin. Anybody's race.
It certainly was, in a tremendous field of boats. Again, we point out 22 boats taking the start on the St. Clair River.
You cannot do this by yourself. It's a team sport. That's what makes it so exciting. In this factory class, we had 22 boats out there today. Phenomenal amount of boats, just like the Worlds. 22 on this little course, and it was not smooth. It was just rough enough to make it interesting. And the Treadwell guys, they were right behind us. It was a hell of a race.
Well, we look at the points over the season, 5 of 9 races and only 6 points separating the Matco Voyager from Lake Cumberland as we head into the final stretch. This is really a battle just in the points, not to mention on the course. Well, talk about on the course. The Super Cats are getting ready. They're gearing it up. But first, the Baja Outlaws. We'll be right back.
Hey, blondes love fast boats.
They are excellent. The Baja Outlaws are coming your way right now. You've got the A boat, single V8s, carbureted, full race engines, and the B boat, same engines, but 2 of them in the boat. Finally, the E class. These are the fuel-injected Mercruisers in factory box stock boats. In the A class was simply irresistible. That's what they call the A15. Tim Sedney drove it. John Montgomery throttled it. And Irresistible won a duel with A55 Team Energy. A29 Traffic Light was a distant 3rd.
In Outlaw B, only 13 seconds separated 1st and 2nd place. You're looking at B96 Motorola with Jeff Haylett and David Steele on board. Their Fountain lost a duel with B69 Let It Roll, a 38-foot Scarab driven by Mike Huffman, throttled by David Corrigan.
Fountain got revenge in Outlaw E with Reggie Fountain the 3rd at the wheel. Paula Miller was on throttles. Little Reggie's only 16 years old. Richard Granville likes to think Warlock rules the smaller classes, but the Fountains proved him wrong in this race. Afterwards, we sent his dad in for the interview.
Son, I'd like to know, did all the things that we talk about work, and what did you think about winning your first boat race?
Well, I guess it worked pretty good because I won. But after looking at it, I guess I ran out of my way a few times around the course, so I could have finished a little bit further ahead. And as for winning the first race, it was awesome.
Well, awesome is still to come, that's for sure. As you look out on the course, we've got more boats ready to go. Supercharged Thunder actions with the Super Bees.
I've been everywhere, man, across the desert, bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've Savannah, Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto.
If the technology in SuperGuard motor oil can protect these high-performance engines, it can take you anywhere. Citgo's SuperGuard motor oil.
Panama, Mattawa, Loma, Pebble, and I had my share, man. I've been everywhere.
We're back at St. Clair, Michigan. Back to wild action in the APBA Offshores.
And it doesn't get any wilder than with the Super Vs and the Super V Lights. The Super V's a pair of 1,100 horsepower supercharged engines. The Super V Lights carbureted version, a little less horsepower, but they're all vicious, like throttling sticks of dynamite.
Now we have to talk about FountainUSA.com. They are the points leaders. Team Woody is not here. That boat flipped recently, but Bob Teague is here.
Our race last weekend in Benicia, California, we were in almost completed with the race and caught a roller in a turn and turned the number 98 Super V upside down.
Well, Bob Teague may not be here, but the Matco Voyager is. Todd Welling and Martin Sanborn, they're second in points after a couple of stunning victories early on. The team with the most to prove right now, the Citgo SuperGuard. Steve David and Nigel Hook, they've had a disappointing season. They need a good showing.
Well, we had the folks from MRO come and bless this boat, and I think we got all the gremlins out. It's been at the Wellcraft Scarab factory for the past 3 weeks, and they've gone through everything. So testing went great. All of the great skilled people with Wellcraft have, I think, gotten this thing dialed in. Now we're ready.
But, you know, we got a work cut out here with all these fountain power boats. You know, we got the Wellcraft Scarab here, and we're just trying to get her in the podium.
Well, we'll see if they can do it as we look out. The green flag is flying now, and these boats are dead even on the start. That's what we talk about equality and parity.
And that's what we talk about when we talk about horsepower. These are the ground-pounding V-bottoms in the world. The most talented monohull drivers in the whole country are here today.
And there is a battle of hulls going on as that Citgo boat is a Scarab. Matco and the Fountain boat are both Fountains.
Like a predator, the SuperGuard is closing in on that big Fountain boat. SuperGuard is all over this race course right now, but they've got a plan today. They're going to sit back, but they're going to strike towards the finish.
Citgo now sits back in third place. They need a good showing here. They are third in the points. They are on the outside, as you can see, closest to you, and they're trying to gain good water. Meanwhile, here we see the start of the Super V Lights, and it is a battle of two almost identical boats. Both are fountain hulls. Both are Pier 57 boats. The third boat in the field, Aftershock, did not take the start.
Do not adjust your screen. That is, in fact, two identical fountains really waging a war in the Super V Light class right now. And it's surprising because those teams, once the flag drops, the allegiance stops.
And there you can see what's happening with the Citgo SuperGuard going to the inside of the Matco Voyager. Citgo SuperGuard with Steve David and Nigel Hook has now taken over the spot that the Voyager was holding on to.
We said they had a strategy today. The strategy was to hold back at the beginning. They've made some mistakes early on. Steve David has said it is not a sprint race, it's a marathon, and look at this straightaway speed. Both of these boats maxed out. Supercharged power, well over 125 miles an hour.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Reggie, they are hanging out that FountainUSA.com boat.
Art Lilly's never been accused of holding himself back. He's a little bit overpropped and overgeared here, but he's got it wound up and going now.
You would never know that Art Lilly has had bypass surgery on his heart. This man is fearless. The man just puts that throttle down, and his driver has to hang on for dear life.
Well, as we look back at the Super V Lights, the Pier 57 number 2 boat still has the advantage that they head around turns 3 and 4. As we say, don't adjust your sets.
Yeah, look at the SuperGuard. Steve, David, and Nigel Hook, they're loving it.
Okay, keep going. Keep. Lily's having a problem. Good Voyager, yes.
And the problem is to the FountainUSA.com. There you can see Matco Voyager going up into first place, and it was Citgo on the inside passing this boat to take over second.
Back in the Super V Lights, the war continues between the two Pier 57 boats, and I'm going to go way out on a limb here and predict that a Pier 57 Fountain is going to win this event.
Well, we'll have to see. I think you're right, though, and it's a pretty good bet. But these boats are riding very evenly, Reg.
Yes, they are. They are both 40-foot fountains. Both evenly matched with their engines, and as you can see, they're both evenly matched on the race course.
Two superb teams showing us how it's done in Super V Light.
Uh-oh, Matco Voyager may have a problem. It looks like that boat is slowing down. Just one engine on that boat now, giving a definite advantage to the Citgo Superguard. If they can just hold it together, they'll get their first win of the year. You can bet they are starting to hear the engine rattle and things of that sort, wondering if the Gremlins will attack them before the finish line.
In the Super V class, it's all about dependability. In this particular case, the two Fountains didn't make it to the finish. The Scarab did.
Wow, a great victory, and you can see them giving a great big wave out to our helicopter crew. Stephen David and Nigel Hook taking their first win of the year. And look at this as the lights come out of the final turn, heading for home.
Yeah, they are racing. These guys are definitely going against each other. It doesn't matter that they're teammates. This is a war right down to the finish.
And it's going to be boat number 1 of the Pier 57s taking the win. The Fountain Pier 57 taking it over the Pier 57 Fountain. Aftershock gets a third.
The number 2 boat got out in front on us early in the race, and we were just trying to get our boat dialed in. We get our trim and all just right. David did a wonderful job at that today. We back and forth, the water would smooth out some, then we would get ahead. I think we had a little top end on them, but in the rough water, and these guys are veterans in the number 2 boat, they knew how to do the corners a little bit better than we did, and I think that's what kept us close the whole day.
Well, as we look at the points after 5 of 9 races, you might as well say it's pretty much wrapped up for the season. The Fountain Pier 57, the number 1 boat, 585 points, closest to them, 223 points. Not a lot of competition for the points, but still a lot on the course. Here's a big winner, the first win of the year for the Citgo Superguard team. They take it over Matco Voyager and FountainUSA.com.
Both Fountains broke down, but take nothing away from that Citgo Scarab.
The curse is over.
It sure is, man. Scarab's out front. And what's a fountain boat anyways?
Yeah. A little fun?
It was, yes. You know, there's a lot of yellow boats out there, yellow fountains, but the Scarab did it. Finally did it. You know, it's back on track. It's going to be in the front again.
Well, the plan was, you know, to nail the start and try to get a lead and force them to have to pass us and run real hard, and us just basically dog them to make them keep their R's up. And the plan worked. They had to run awfully hard to try to do that, and both of them, I guess, took out some power plants trying to do it. We had the speed. The first lap, we were faster than they were. Once we knew that, it was then a matter of let's just run with them, and if need be, we'll save the last 2 laps to win.
Steve David takes the win and takes a pot shot at the Fountain, but right now, Fountain is in the lead in the national points race with the Matco Voyager, 560.9, holding a slim margin over that Citgo boat.
Coming up, the V-bottoms are done. We've got cat racing next. Stay with us from St. Clair, Michigan.
The current is definitely a factor here.
If you get some air out there, the boat starts getting away from you.
It has been a great day of racing so far here in St. Clair, Michigan on the St. Clair River, but we're far from finished. We've got some great racing on tap. We're going to be taking a look at the F3 and F4 racing next, and that is where we're going to see more equality.
The factory catamaran classes. F4, that is the twin and triple engine outboards. F3, twin stern drive powered cats, all factory stock. In Sarasota, this was a memorable day for the team sponsored by the Boathouse Performance Center, upstate New York. They swept the F3 and F4 races and proudly displayed their checkers in stereo in a place that some of the team calls home. They're a good-natured bunch that has surprised a number of the other established teams.
There's a lot of people that come to the APBA and they race one season and they're gone the next. And I think a lot of the professional racers who have been here for years and years don't give maybe some of the new teams a lot of respect. And now that we are doing very well and we've shown ourselves to be a team that's going to be here for a while, and especially a 2-boat team, I think we're getting that respect now. And people are starting to say, geez, we have to look out for the Boathouse.
We like to get out front and hopefully intimidate some of the other people. You really got to stay on top of the equipment. And you can't make too many errors out there in driving, or you're going to be from first to last real quick.
Being persistent is the biggest help. Going back out there, running it, getting used to the teammate in the boat is a lot to do with it. And just getting used to your boat entirely. That's been the biggest help we've had.
Missing from this picture is owner Ed Fleming, who's assembled a team of New Yorkers and Floridians and has big plans for next year.
You know, that's our goal next year. You know, we're jumping the Super Cat. It's very competitive, and, you know,
The way that, you know, APBA's got the motors and everything, it's pretty much even for everybody. So, yeah, that's my goal. I want to be throttling the Super Cat next year.
The secret to winning in offshore racing? Big motor? Yeah. Great boat? Sure. Talent? Absolutely. And one of these. A combination peanut butter cup and chocolate chip cookie. The Boathouse crew, and Priscilla Groton, particularly gives these to the entire crew before each race. One bite, and you're in the winner's circle.
I tell you what, the cookies are the good luck deal.
I've eaten too many cookies this year.
I gained about 1.5 pounds just looking at it. In the F3, a battle right from the start as Peppers and Kiley Motorsports, an awesome haul with the Don Q in contempt just behind in third.
Yeah, F3 racing has definitely come of age. Look at the Don Q Cristal making up distance after a very bad start. That is the smallest and arguably quickest boat in the class. An early retirement here is the Warlock breaking down in the second lap.
Oh, and we've got a boat over. Don Q in contempt is over.
The boat is upside down. Can you give me a boat number, anybody? In contempt, F313. In contempt, Don Q Rum. It is sinking now immediately.
Oh, so much power, so much speed, but just a little too much in the south turn.
And with that, Peppers moves into the lead, and Peppers takes the win. There you can see how they finished out. Kiley Motorsports in second. Team Awesome in third place. Don Q all the way back to fifth with that turnover. And Warlock with their problems in sixth. It was a tight race, no question.
Here is the Factory 4. These are the outboards. Twin and triple engine boats. That may seem unusual, but in testing, each of these boats runs within a half-a mile an hour of each other.
Cat Can Do took the early lead with Team Extreme. That Spectra Hull in second. Blondie and Boathouse battling for third into the turn. It was anybody's guess. They were battling it out all the way. And Reggie, when they're out on that course, they've really got to be attuned, just like any other kind of racing, to everybody around them.
That's right. It's tight racing here. And now we're looking at the Blondie and Boathouse race. On the inside was Blondie. Got a jump on the corner, but Boathouse is pressing and trying to get ahead.
And Boathouse is over. Boathouse went up on its side and over just as it pushed hard to get on the inside and hold that turn.
The boat F34, F434, that's upside down. Be advised, Blondie did stop to help. They saw us, and they continued.
And they continued because they saw the driver and throttleman were okay. Cat Can Do goes on to take the win.
And interestingly enough, in this outboard cat class, there was no appreciable difference between the twin and the triple engine boats. They were evenly spaced throughout the race. No advantage to that extra motor. That's very interesting because with 50% more horsepower, you'd expect more speed. That's the number 76, the Fountain Mercury Super Cat. There might as well be a target painted on that stern as the rest of the field, after that 3-minute penalty in Sarasota, have aimed their sights at that boat.
Got a good jump on the start, and then all of a sudden we seen the Fountain Mercury boat coming over towards us, which caused us all to have to veer to shore.
They ran that course probably 10 years prior to it, maybe not the driver, but the throttle man himself. So how do you take a guy who's a 10-year veteran who's raced the same course, and all of a sudden 10 years later he's totally off course? To me, it seems intentional.
They certainly did something that I thought was reckless and negligent. We didn't make a complaint. I mean, those are for the officials to make, and I think they made the right call.
If it happens again, there's a possibility somebody could get hurt. And we're not in the sport to get hurt. We're in the sport to have a good time. If you got to cheat to do that, you shouldn't really be in the sport.
No, I don't want to get into it.
Really?
That's behind us. It's totally behind us. We want to keep it. No, it's behind us, really. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, you might say the sights are set and the target is out there. It's a grudge match in the Super Cats coming up next. Clair, Michigan, Dick Crippen along with Reggie Fountain and Rich Lures as we look to the working river, the St. Clair River, and there you see why we say it's working, because the oar boats continue here and they are going to be running during our races.
The Super Cats are coming up. They're tunnel boats. They fly over the water, little hydrodynamic contact with the water. When they get in the air, they go fast, real fast.
And they are the headliners on our program today, no question about it. They are big, they are beautiful, they are super fast, and they are milling right now.
The elite teams in all of powerboat racing anywhere in the world, the Super Cat teams. The best drivers, the best throttlemen in the world. Guys on the wheel who can turn these big 40-foot cats on a dime and throttle men who can anticipate their every move within milliseconds.
Now, if the seas on this course were just a little rougher, we could easily argue that the Extreme team might be contending for its first win. Dan Jackson and Wyatt Cox are both rookies, both from Texas, and both very successful in business. Their story and their season have been extremely interesting.
We gained several hundred yards on them.
If I could bungee cord the throttles forward, I would. Actually, you know, just pull back on them when I have to. That's Dan Jackson. He is the most competitive person I've ever met in my life, and I thought I was until I met Dan. And
let's go. Turn.
We're here strictly for one thing, and that's to win. White gets pissed off at me because I want to win the parade lap. That's how competitive we are. We want to run front of the pack in the parade lap. Dan got caught up in the heat of the moment, following the pace boat, and next thing I knew, I was sweating and trying to keep the boat out of everybody else, and I finally had to holler at him and tell him to pull over and stop, and we had a few words over that, and that's probably the only words we've had this season, but we won the pace lap, by the way.
Dan and Wyatt's biggest moment during a race came here at Corpus Christi, when they ran fourth and were gaining on the leaders before they broke. Dan spared no expense putting together a first-class rig and equipment. For a driver, he chose a priceless friend.
Tears came to my eyes when Dan and I made the decision to put the team together, and yeah, he could have had many fine drivers, some of the best in the world sitting next to him. And he's the only guy, to be honest with you, that I trusted to sit in that side because I was a rookie, and I didn't want a veteran pushing me to the point that I didn't feel comfortable.
We were running with them.
I'm very honored.
Good job.
They're lined up side by side.
10 seconds, 10 seconds. Spaceboat 1, the start is yours. The start is yours. Please respond.
The fans are waiting. This is the big show. Watch the rooster tails on these boats as the green flag flies. They're coming down and the rooster tails are flying high.
Right, to your left. Go to your left.
On board the Fountain Mercury, looking back at the field as the rooster tails continue to fly, and we've got to be aware that those things can be used as a tool. It appears to be separate drops of water, but it's solid to the boat, and if a rooster tail gets underneath that tunnel hull, there could be problems.
The start in boat racing is so important. That's why you want to have clean water in front of you. Don't let the other guy get his rooster tail in your face. You can't see, you can't race, you can't perform.
Reggie, when you're out there on the course like this and you come into those turns, everything has to be taken into account.
You have to know who's behind you, how close they are. You have to set the boat just right for the corner. And here, we got them side by side. Each one of them's trimming the boat to the maximum, trying to get that boat up into the air, flying over the water rather than through the water. Here, trim is everything, and you can see it in good play right here.
The Cat can do a smaller boat coming up on the big bad WHM. WHM dominated down in Corpus Christi in the rough, but right now on this calm, short course, that big boat is a real liability.
And another battle out of bounds in turns 3 and 4, trying to catch the Spirit of Puerto Rico. They have the inside.
Out of bounds, a big story this year. She's been a big disappointment. Thought to be one of the quicker boats out there. She hasn't performed until today. Why? A new man on the throttles. JT, Johnny Tomlinson, multi-time world champion and boat rigger. This guy is a winner. The boat is coming alive.
And with that pass, out of bounds moves up to 4th place. Here we see Jelly Belly still in 2nd. Relief Band just behind in 3rd. Fountain ahead on the back stretch, and there you see the distance between 1st and 2nd place. There are the top 5 positions. We're in the middle of a race. We'll be back with the rest of the action after this. Presents APBA Offshore Racing, and we are back with the Super Cats. Out of bounds has passed Relief Band and is now in 3rd, partly due to John Tomlinson, who's filling in on the throttles today.
Yeah, Steve couldn't make this race, so I'm going to fill in for him and see if I can get a better feel and a better idea of what's going on in race conditions with the boat, since I haven't actually raced this boat yet this year. And get a feel for it and see if we can make some more positive changes and hopefully have a good showing with it so he can run well with it.
That's out of bounds. John Tomlinson on the throttles. Here is your leader. This is the Fountain Mercury team, and this is the boat that has the target on it. And now look back at Steve Page and Pepe Llamas running 5th. Pepe is, of course, from Puerto Rico, and Pepe brought a very good friend with him, a guy who, well, has pretty good respect for his buddy.
Baseball is It's a lot different than this, but I like both of them. I just come to see my friends Pepe racing, and I hope he can win today.
Right now, he is running in 5th place in the Spirit of Puerto Rico. Pudge Rodriguez from the Texas Rangers watching and rooting for him.
Another boat from Puerto Rico, the Don Q Cristal, making a move on the WHM for 7th place. Moving up just behind them is Team Extreme, the 9th place boat. It's tough for all these boats. These 2-pin turns and these big cats are very, very difficult. You've got a high-speed river flowing here. 2-pin turns, having a very difficult time finding the correct arc to get around them.
Meanwhile, Relief Band hangs on to 4th place. Relief Band is a skater hull, and he's battling with another skater hull, that of the Spirit of Puerto Rico, riding in 5th place. In 6th, right behind him, in a Talon, the Cat Can Do boat is now all alone in that position, with Don Q Cristal right behind.
The Extreme team has pulled up and is now challenging the WHM. WHM continuing to struggle on this short course. Of all the boats having difficulty in the turns, that one's got the biggest job.
And here's a battle for 2nd place. Out of Bounds has finally overtaken Jelly Belly. Back at the beginning of the race, Out of Bounds got caught up in that traffic. He's been battling to catch up. He's done it. Now he's in 2nd, giving chase to the Fountain Mercury boat.
An amazing job by JT in there. He's got the only chance of catching this boat right here, the Fountain Mercury. But these guys, Hugh Fuller and Jerry Gilbreth, they are rubbing it in. After Billy Moff's pre-race comments in the WHM, Jerry and Hugh elected not to join the verbal fray. They're doing their talking on the race course.
And they are talking loudly, if I do say so. Great action on the course now. And there you can see Cat Can Do, and there's one of those big freighters. Cat Can Do had to make a decision, as did the Spirit of Puerto Rico. Do you go inside? Do you go outside on the big freighter? Well, they chose one side or the other, and they're continuing on the race. Here's the Extreme team making a pass on the Don Q Cristal, and a late pass by Cat Can Do as they smoked by Spirit of Puerto Rico.
Spirit of Puerto Rico with engine troubles. They're out of the race. They're going to have to fix their problems. They've had significant motor problems all season long.
Well, that's going to be a disappointment not only to them, but to Ivan Rodriguez, who's standing on the sidelines from the Texas Rangers and was rooting hard for that boat. The Fountain Mercury, no problems. Maybe the perfect race. They take another win, and they are plenty happy about that. The checker flies high over the Fountain Mercury team.
A quality job by a quality team, an enormous margin of victory in the Super Cat class.
And we take a look at the final results. There you see them, and I think with all the challenge out there, certainly the boat with the target on it, Jerry Galbraith and Hugh Fuller knew what was out there. They took it from start to finish, no questions asked. Coming up, we're going to talk with the winners, and we're going to wrap it all up here from St. Clair, Michigan. Stay with us.
Extreme!
Back in St. Clair, Michigan, here are the final results.
And the Fountain Mercury flawless from wire to wire. They led at the beginning, they led at the end, and they led all the way through. Out of bounds, a very good accounting of themselves coming right through the pack. JT is magic on the sticks.
I knew when we got a clean break that we, if the engines ran well, we'd be okay. And thanks to Mercury Marine and Fountain Power Boats, everything went well.
I think it goes to show to get a professional running another boat. Just Jerry's that good. Jelly Belly was right on us today. You know, Out of Bounds was right on us today. So I think it goes to show these boats can run with us. They just need, you know, good people in them, and they can run all day. So
we have a very well set up boat. We work very hard at it, and again, I'm hard on my crew, and I'm tough to be around sometimes, but I demand excellence, and today it showed, and I'm really happy.
And as a result of that, after losing one of the races in Corpus Christi, Texas, Fountain Mercury has moved back on top in the point standings for the year. So now it is a battle royal for the rest of the races. No question about it.
The bottom line is these teams are going to have to do a lot of work to catch that Fountain Mercury.
It has been a great day in St. Clair, Michigan. On behalf of Rich Lors and Reggie Fountain, this is Dick Crippen. Join us next time when we'll be at the Chesapeake Challenge in Baltimore, Maryland. We'll see you then.
The APBA is sponsored by Millennium Fuel Corporation, the official fuel supplier of the APBA Offshore. And by Liberty Coach, the official motor coach of APBA Offshore. And by Citgo SuperGuard Motor Oil, the official motor oil of APBA Offshore. Citgo when it counts. The APBA is sponsored by SpeedMonster.com, the presenting sponsor of the APBA Offshore Pro Series 2000.